Alright everyone, so the trade period has just finished and I'll be looking at 3 teams that won the trade period and 3 teams that lost the trade period. So let's get straight into the winners. So first up we got Hawks. They had 2 major pickups, so Sam Frost and John Patton, and they lost Mark Pittinen and Grant Birchall. So for the Sam Frost trade, they traded pick 50 and their future second pick for Sam Frost, and a pick 42, pick 61 and Melbourne's future 4th pick, which is a good trade for them, and they used the Melbourne future 4th pick to get John Patton. So I would say the Sam Frost trade was definitely a win. They only had to trade pick 50 and got pick 50, 42 and 61 back, and Sam Frost. He'll definitely play that Grant Birchall role, which they lost. So Hawks lost Mark Pittinen and Grant Birchall. And yeah, so Sam Frost will play mostly that Grant Birchall role. And John Patton could help Mitch Lewis out and, help him learn stuff like this. You can't win games from just one forward who's like 20 years old. He'll definitely become a great player in the future. But yeah, that's a good pickup. And yeah, they lost Mark Pitton there, who wasn't getting a game. And Grant Birchall, who's probably got 1 year left in him. So that's definitely a win by the Hawks. So our next win has to be the Bulldogs. They managed to get Josh Bruce for pick 32 and pick 51. And they traded pick 45 and their future second pick for Alex Keefe and the future 3rd pick. So I reckon that's definitely a win for Bulldogs. They didn't lose anyone, and they got Josh Bruce for a reasonable price. Josh Bruce can help out Aaron Norton, who's pretty inexperienced, although he's pretty good at marking, that's for sure. And then they got Alex Keefe, who can help out in the defense, because their defense is, let's be honest, the worst in the league. They don't have much X factor in the defense. So Alex Keefe has showed some signs in Adelaide about being a superstar. So yeah, that's a good pickup for Alex Keefe. They didn't lose a major, so I reckon they did their job and got players they needed. And yeah, I reckon they won. Next up, we got the Saints. I do think they won the whole trade period due to the big hole of players they got. They only managed to lose a couple players, so they got Bradley Hill, Zach Jones, Dan Butler, Dougal Howard, and Paddy Ryder, and they only managed to trade Blake Acres, Josh Bruce, and Jack Stephen. So let's get straight to how they did all the trades. So the first trade they did was Bradley Hill. They got Bradley Hill and Freo's future 3rd pick, and they traded Blake Acres, pick 10, pick 58, future 2nd, and 4th pick. Now I do think this is very obvious for Bradley Hill. I reckon they did lose this trade, but as long as Bradley Hill managed to pull a full season and gets around 20 to 25 possessions a game, I reckon they did win this trade. And I mean, they didn't really need Blake Acres. I reckon he might become a great player, but I don't think they needed him as much as Bradley Hill. So I reckon that was a good trade, and there was a bit of a salary cap, so they could get other players by trading Blake Acres. Next trade they did was Zach Jones. They traded pick 32, 76, and their future 4th pick to Swans to get Zach Jones, a pick 56, and a future 4th pick from Swans. So I reckon this is actually a great trade. Zach Jones can play wing, mid, or defense. Very versatile. And I reckon Saints will play him in defense where he's needed. He could do a Blake Acres role where he switches, but I reckon he can play in the mid sometimes. So very versatile. And they managed to get pick 56 and a future 4th pick in it by only trading 32, 76. So I reckon that's a great trade from them. Then they traded pick 56 for Dan Butler, which is a good trade. They do need a speedy forward, and Dan Butler wasn't getting opportunities for entrance, so good on him. And now the big trade, I reckon they absolutely smashed this one, was they traded pick 12, 18, and the future 3rd pick for Dougal Howard, Paddy Ryder, pick 10, and the future 4th pick. So I reckon they definitely won this trade. This trade was the main part of how they won. So Dougal Howard, he'll definitely become a star. I'm a Port supporter, and I'm really not happy with this trade. He's very versatile. He can play defense or forward. It looks like they're going to be playing him in defense, but yeah, I'm very disappointed in Port for losing that. And Paddy Ryder, they actually do need him because they got Rowan Marshall in the ruck, and you can switch out because Rowan Marshall's still young. He's still developing, so good trade from them. And they still managed to get pick 10 and a future 4th pick, and they only traded pick 12 and 18 and a future 3rd pick. So that's definitely a big win for them, and yeah, kudos to them. And then they traded Josh Bruce for pick 32 and 51, and Jack Stephen for pick 58. Now Josh Bruce, that's a big loss. Let's be honest. I don't think anyone can replace him. He's He did have a couple of injuries, but yeah, that's pretty big loss from them. And yeah, they lost that trade. But Jack Stevens for pick 58, lots of people are going to say they lost their trade. I reckon it's even because Jack Stevens was like injured predominantly for the whole 2018 season, and he due to a mental health issue. So it's a bit of a salary cap release for them, so they can get more players. So I do think that's a fine trade. And I did hear some rumors that he was actually going to retire if he didn't get to Geelong. So it's good they got a pick from that. So yeah, I reckon that's a fair trade, and I reckon they won the whole trade period. Alright, so now on to the losers. We got 3 teams here, and first up we got Adelaide. I do think they did actually fine. I thought a whole other players were going to leave. And if you saw my predictions video, I thought like 10 other players were going to leave. But I reckon, they still lost. Like, still lots of players leaving, and I only managed to get one player back. But hopefully they do well in the draft, or it's going to be a bad year for Crows. So Cam Ellis-Yeoman left, Eddie Betts left, Sauce Jacobs left, Hugh Greenwood left, Alex Keefe left, and Josh Jenkins left, and they only managed to get Billy Frampton. So let's get into the deal. So Cam Ellis-Yeoman, he left for pick 47, so they got pick 47 back. And yeah, I reckon this is an even trade. Both teams didn't lose. It was a win-win for both. And then Eddie Betts for a future 4th pick. It depends. So if Eddie Betts plays 1 year, then I reckon it's an even trade. But if Eddie Betts plays 2 years, I reckon Carlton have won that trade, because Eddie Betts has can do lots of experience for the young forward line, and likes of Lockie O'Brien, Sam Fisher, Zach Fisher, I think it is. But yeah, I reckon if Eddie Betts plays 2 years, that's a win from Carlton. And yeah, it's just good to see Eddie Betts in the Carlton Carlton Guernsey. It's been a while, and it's good for Puello fans because we have to see him in the showdown. That's perfect. Now next we got Sauce Jacobs. He left, and Giants gave Crows back the Melbourne future 4th pick, which they got from the John Patton deal. And I reckon, yeah, that's pretty even. Sauce Jacobs wasn't getting much games. And who's that ruckman now? Yeah, Riley O'Brien. He definitely looks like an upcoming ruckman. He was putting up stats like Grundy's, like 25 disposals. So I reckon, yeah, that's a good deal actually for both, and more of Crows. Next they had Hugh Greenwood for a future 3rd and 4th pick. I reckon this is a fine deal. I mean, he wasn't getting much game, so these are more of salary cap releases. Next, we got Alex Keefe and the future 3rd pick, and they got pick 45 and future 2nd pick back. I reckon they lost this trade. I reckon Alex Keefe was an upcoming defender. He showed big glimpses of him being Jeremy Govan type. Probably not, but yeah. But I reckon they lost this trade. And then they lost Josh Jenkins for pick 37, which is interesting because he did. I saw some stats of him, like averages, where he was very consistent. He was kicking like 50, 60 goals every year, except for this year because he got dropped a couple of times. And I reckon they did lost his trade. They didn't he was very consistent. I reckon he was better goal forward than Tex, but they did trade him, and yeah, I do think most of the deals were fair on Crows and the other team, but it's just the amount of players that left that puts them in the losers category. And then they only got Billy Frampton back from Melbourne for Melbourne's future 4th pick. Billy Frampton, he's still very young, so I don't think it will make a major impact. Maybe in the future, if he starts developing and starting to get big bags, then yeah, I reckon that could be a win for Crows. Alright, so next loser we have is Port Adelaide, my team. I didn't really think they had the best trade period. They traded Billy Frampton for Melbourne's future 4th pick, which is pretty. It's fine. I mean, Billy Frampton, he requested a trade out, and yeah, he definitely was developing, but we'll see what happens. I'm not you can't tell because depends if he becomes like a Buddy Franklin, then clearly Crows have won, but he might just be nothing. No offense for them. Yeah, we'll see. We don't know who's won that trade. We'll have to see in the future. And then they didn't get anyone. And then they traded Dougal Howard, Paddy Ryder. Like I said in the sayings, that was definitely a lost trade. That was really bad. I should have asked for more. Should have asked for more and stuff like that. But they only got pick 12 and 18 in the future 4 pick, and they traded their pick 10, Paddy Ryder and Dougal Howard, and a future 4 pick, which is not great trading from Port, and they didn't get anyone back for this trade period. So disappointing as a fan, but we'll see what happens next year. Next year. And then the final loss is Carlton. I reckon they did fine, except for the fact that they didn't do what they sought out to do. So they got Mark Pittonen, who can help in the rock. Who's the I think that is with Cruiser. He can help it with Cruiser. And they got pick 61, and they pick 54 and 63. So I reckon even trade. Eddie Betts, they got back and they traded their future 4th pick. This depends. If he plays 2 years, then I reckon that's a win trade for Carlton. But if he only plays 1, then pretty even. Now that's the only trade they did, but they planned to get Jack Martin and Tom Plapley, which they failed to do. So which is why it puts them in the losers category. And yeah, so that's all of them. So yeah, they should have managed to at least get one of those, but they didn't get none. And I didn't do much except for getting Eddie Betts and Mark Pitts in it. And if I was a Cats fan, I'd be a bit sour about that. But yeah, that's the winners and losers trade period. Did I miss a team out? Leave in the comments down below. And yeah, thanks for the support. I hope to see you in the next one. And yeah, see ya.